Don't waste your time working a 9 to 5 unless it's a really, really good job. But let's be honest, most of the jobs, 9 to 5 jobs out there, are complete trash. There's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5 if that's the decision that you want to make, if that's the sort of lifestyle that you want to live, if you enjoy your job and you're getting paid good money and the company actually cares about you, then there's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. But to each their own. There are more possibilities out there. There are more things that you can do than just slave away at a 9 to 5 working for somebody else's dreams, where somebody is in charge of your time. They control your time, they control your schedule, they control how much you get paid for the most part, and have a lot of leverage over you, right? The older I get, the more experience I get, the more I realize how most things in life, and work is not an exception. What people tell us traditionally we should do in school, right? Like the moment you enter school, you're told that you should go to college and go work for somebody else. The older I get, the more I realize how everything is set up to kind of like put the common person under somebody else's thumb, right? And put you in a situation similar to how it was when you were in school, for example, when you were in high school. Very similar dynamic. When you leave school and you enter the workforce, it's kind of like just a continuation of those things, right? The more I realize how everything is, or most things are set against you, right? Working for somebody else, having a person or people having that sort of leverage over you. So if you're listening to this video and you have those thoughts of wanting to leave your job and not work for anybody again, work for yourself or invest or become a business owner, just realize that it's possible. That first you got to overcome all that negative programming that you probably grew up with, that most of us grew up with, right? And that the things that you set out to achieve for yourself were definitely more than possible, right? But there's just constant programming, there's just constant fear mongering, telling us that we're not good enough, right? That dreams are just that, right? That they're just dreams, and that you shouldn't bother. But I'm here telling you the opposite. I'm here telling you that you don't need to settle for that sort of life. You don't need to settle for a 9 to 5 job if you don't want to, right? It's just a matter of passing into action, taking charge of things, taking matters into your own hands, and executing the work necessary to make that happen. Right? I'm currently in that transition now, and I can't imagine myself ever going to that sort of lifestyle again, right? Like for me, for example, sometimes it would be like 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. I would come home from a long shift where I would have to wake up like at 7, right, in order to get to work on time, for example. And some days I wouldn't get home till like 6 or 7, in the afternoon. And for anyone who's ever been through that sort of thing, you have very little time for yourself. Basically, the only things that you can do is cook. You're so burnt out from the day. The only things you can do is cook, take a shower, and kind of just prep for the next day, right? You don't really have much energy to do anything extra. Like, I don't understand how people can just so willingly go along with that lifestyle, right? It's sold to us as normal, and if you think outside the box, if you say, hey, there's a better way to do things, or why do we need to put up with that sort of thing? People call you crazy, or they start name calling you, right? They start calling you names. The agent Smiths, they pop out of nowhere and they try to put you back in your place. But life is short. I'm sure you've heard that before. Nobody is promised tomorrow, and it's just baffling to me how people can just so easily conform to that sort of lifestyle, right? Again, to each their own, but personally, again, I can never go back to that sort of lifestyle, right? Why wouldn't you want to have control of such basic things like your schedule, right? You decide the days you want to work, you decide the rate, right? Why would you put all that stuff in somebody else's hand? Not to mention all the extra stuff that you have to deal in most workplaces, right? for anyone listening who's been through that, I'm sure you can relate to what I'm about to say. Putting up with all that extra nonsense at work, the jealous people, the two-faced people, the straight up toxic people, the corporate nonsense, for example. Everybody knows what's going on, but everybody turns a blind eye to it. Everybody just acts dumb and pretends like they don't know what's going on. Again, somebody just having so much control over you in your day-to-day, micromanaging you, right? Gaslighting you in some cases, making you feel like you're not doing enough when you're doing your job, right? They just want to extract the maximum amount of work from you, and they try to gaslight you into thinking that it's your problem, right? That it's you that is not performing up to standard, right? When you can very well be just doing a great job. So there's just so many elements about the workplace and about working for somebody else that I can't ever imagine myself going back into that world. So if you're listening to this and you made it this far and you've had similar thoughts, know that it's possible. It's just, again, making a plan and executing it and never giving up. And one way or another, you might not get what you want, but you'll get what you need, right? You'll get what you need. So just remember that it's possible, and that if you've had those thoughts, if you've had those reoccurring thoughts, don't just shove them away into a dark corner of your mind and ignore them, right? If your mind is telling you that something's not right, you need to listen to those thoughts and take action to change things that you don't like, right? So if you made it this far, hopefully something in this video is of use to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Let me know your thoughts on this topic and what your personal feelings are regarding this topic, things that have helped you exit this sort of lifestyle, this 9-to-5 lifestyle, and what you're doing now, and what you've learned and what you wish you would have known, right? So I'll see you guys next time.